Back in 1998, Volkswagen debuted its new Beetle, and as you probably remember, that car was girlier than a weekend filled with pedicures, Pilates, and doused in strawberry daiquiris. Nevertheless, it remained in production looking more or less the same for over a decade. In fact, it wasn't until the 2012 model year that the generation sitting behind me debuted with a longer, more coupe-like aggressive styling. It looks quite a bit less like the classic Beetle than the generation it replaced, but Volkswagen is hardly walking away from its heritage. For 2014, they're offering the Beetle GSR, meant as a tribute to cars of the same name from the 1970s era. A GSR stands for something in German that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but in English, it means yellow-black racer. Hooray for original names, huh? Pricing starts at just about $31,000 including delivery, and that gives you a 2-liter turbocharged engine powering the front wheels through a 6-speed manual transmission. It's an updated version of Volkswagen's 2.0T that you'll also find in the R-Line version of the Beetle and the Jetta GLI. It makes 210 horsepower and 207 pound-feet of torque, and Volkswagen says that it's good enough to carry the car from 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. Our car costs about $1,000 more and comes with a 6-speed dual-clutch transmission. According to EPA official estimates, the car should be getting 24 miles per gallon in the city or 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Like I said earlier, this car is based on the R-Line Beetle, and most of the exterior tweaks come from that package. The aggressive front fascia, 19-inch tornado wheels, and little rear diffuser are all borrowed from that vehicle. In fact, the only exterior portions of this car that are really unique are the paintwork and the ridiculously big back spoiler. The color scheme you've seen on the outside continues with the interior. You get black leather with yellow stitching, GSR lettering built into the seat backs, and GSR badging on the dashboard. If we had the manual transmission model, the stick would also have a special shifter rather than the DSG branded shift lever that we have here in this car today. Now, the GSR model is based on Volkswagen's most expensive R-Line model. That means that you get these gauges on the dash that give you boost pressure, oil temperature, and a clock. It's a little bit gimmicky, but we'll take it. It's kind of fun. The sport seats are comfortable and well bolstered, but that does bring me to 3 key complaints I have about the cabin. First of all, you're stuck with manual adjustment on those seats, and at this price point, that's really kind of inexcusable. Also, there's way too much hard plastic in here. But hey, at least you get a massive sunroof, Fender audio, and there's a push-button start. So let's give it a spin and see how she drives. You know, considering this is a special edition model that's supposed to have racer in its name, I kind of thought maybe it should have a power upgrade. But the truth is, 210 horsepower is kind of enough. And with the dual clutch transmission, pumping through the gears, you have access to power. In fact, full boost comes on at 1700 RPMs. And while I can't really speak to Volkswagen's claim about a 0 to 60 in 6.6, I can say that it feels plenty powerful. You get electrically boosted rack and pinion steering that feels a little bit vague, but for the most part it feels connected to the road and responsive enough, although I would like it to be a little bit tighter. The cabin is simple, the car is small and easy to maneuver through traffic, and you get this flat bottom sport steering wheel that's really kind of fun to spin around. One of the coolest things about it too is you get this specialized badge specific to the GSR models that have this car or whatever car you bought's specific number within that limited 3,500 unit production run that Volkswagen is doing of these cars. So far so good, right? Well, if the story stopped there, then that would probably be the case, but it doesn't. There's just enough engine noise making it into the cabin to be annoying, but not quite enough to make it really feel like a sporty growl. I'd rather they either tone it down or bring it out one way or another, but this is not a particularly nice fence to be straddling. The brakes are okay, they just feel kind of mushy, and it'd be nice if they had a little bit more grip. I've got one last complaint about this car, and for me, it's a real bugaboo. It's just not comfortable over bumps, and I gotta point out that if you're old enough to remember when the first GSR was new and on the road, you're probably pushing somewhere into your late 50s. If it were me, I wouldn't want to be dealing with something this rough. You know, if the Beetle GSR was more than special paint and an obnoxious spoiler, it might actually have some real collectability to it. But the sad truth is, it doesn't. Instead, you get a tarted up version of Volkswagen's most expensive turbo Beetle, and it's probably getting attention for all the wrong reasons.